The lobster quadrille. The mock turtle sighed deeply and drew the back of his paw across his eyes. He looked at Alice and tried to speak, but for a minute or two sobs choked his voice. "Sounds like a bone in his throat," said the griffin, and it set to work shaking him and hitting him in the back. At last the mock turtle recovered his voice, and, with tears running down his cheeks, he went on again. "Were you ever introduced to a lobster?" Alice began to say, "I once tasted," but stopped abruptly, and said, "No, never." "Then you have no idea what a delightful dance a lobster quadrille is." "No, indeed," said Alice. "What sort of a dance is it?" "Well," said the griffin, "you first form into a line along the seashore." "Two lines," cried the mock turtle. "Fishes, turtles, and so on. Then you clear all the jellyfish out of the way." "That generally takes some time," interrupted the griffin. "You advance twice, each with a lobster as a partner," cried the griffin. "Of course," the mock turtle said. "Advance twice, return to partners, change lobsters, and go back in same order," continued the griffin. "Then, you know," the mock turtle went on, "you throw the lobsters," shouted the griffin, jumping into the air, "as far out to sea as you can." "Swim after them," cried the griffin. "Turn a somersault in the sea," cried the mock turtle, jumping wildly about. "Change lobsters again," shouted the griffin at the top of its voice. "Return to land again, and that's the end of the first figure," said the mock turtle, suddenly dropping his voice. And the two creatures stopped jumping and sat down again very sadly and quietly, and looked at Alice. "It seems to be a very pretty dance," said Alice timidly. "Would you like to see a little of it?" said the mock turtle. "Very much indeed," said Alice. "Come, let's try the first figure," said the mock turtle to the griffin. "We can do without lobsters, you know. Who shall sing?" "Oh, you sing," said the griffin. "I don't remember the words." So they began solemnly dancing round and round Alice, every now and then treading on her toes when they passed too close, and waving their paws to mark the time, while the mock turtle sang this very slowly and sadly. "Will you walk a little faster?" said a whiting to a snail. "There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the seashore. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? You can have no idea how delightful it will be when they take us up and throw us, with the lobsters, out to sea." But the snail replied, "Too far, too far," and gave a look askance. And he thanked the whiting kindly, but he didn't join the dance. No, he didn't join the dance. "What matters it how far we go?" the whiting then replied. "There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England the nearest to France. Then turn, not pale, my dear snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? — Thank you, it's a very interesting dance to watch." said Alice, feeling very glad that it was over at last. And I like that curious song about the whiting so much. Oh, the whitings, said the Mock Turtle. Do you know what they're like? Yes, said Alice thoughtfully. They have their tails in their mouths. And there are crumbs all over them. You're wrong about the crumbs, said the Mock Turtle. Crumbs wash off in the sea. But they have their tails in their mouths. And the reason is... Here the Mock Turtle yawned and shut his eyes. Tell her about the reason and all that, he said to the Griffin. The reason is, said the Griffin, that they always go with the lobsters to the dance. So the dances throw them out to the sea. So they have to fall a long way. So they get their tails fast in their mouths. So they can't get 'em out again. That's all. Thank you, said Alice, it's very interesting. I never knew so much about a whiting before. I can tell you more than that, said the Griffin. Do you know why it's called a whiting? I never thought about it, said Alice. Why? It polishes the boots and shoes, the Griffin answered very solemnly. It puzzled Alice very much. Polishes the boots and shoes, she repeated in a wondering tone. Don't you polish your shoes? Said the Griffin. I mean, what makes them so shiny? Alice looked down at him, and thought it over a little, before she gave her answer. It's blacking, I believe. Under the sea, the Griffin went on in a deep voice. We polish boots and shoes with a whiting. Now you know. Why don't the whiting, said Alice, whose thoughts were still running on the song. Just say to the porpoise, keep back, please, we don't want you with us. But we need a porpoise with us, the Mock Turtle said. No wise fish goes anywhere without a porpoise. Oh really, said Alice in a tone of great surprise. Of course not, said the Mock Turtle. When a fish goes for a journey, I always ask, with what porpoise? Don't you mean purpose, said Alice. I mean what I say. The Mock Turtle answered in an offended tone. And the Griffin added, come, let's hear some of your adventures. I can tell you my adventures beginning from this morning, said Alice a little timidly. But it's no use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then. Explain all that, said the Mock Turtle. No, the adventures first, said the Griffin in an impatient tone. Explanations take such a long time. So Alice began telling him her adventures. She was a little nervous about it just at first. The two creatures got so close to her, one on each side, and opened their eyes and mouths so very wide. But she gained courage as she went on. Her listeners were perfectly quiet, till she got to the part about her repeating, "You are old, Father William," to the caterpillar, and the words all coming different. Then the Mock Turtle drew a long breath, and said, "That's very curious." "It's all as curious as it can be," said the Griffin. "It all came different," the Mock Turtle repeated thoughtfully. "I would like to hear her try and repeat something now. Tell you her to begin." He looked at the Griffin. It seemed he thought the Griffin had some kind of authority over Alice. Stand up and repeat. This the voice of the sluggard, said the Griffin. How these creatures like giving orders and making one repeat lessons, thought Alice. But she got up and began to repeat it. Her head was so full of the lobster quadrille that she hardly knew what she was saying, and the words came very strange indeed. This the voice of the lobster, I heard him declare. Don't you bake me too brown, I must sugar my hair as a duck with its eyelids. So he with his nose checks his belt and his buttons, and turns out his toes. When the sands are all dry, he is gay as a lark, and will talk with the deepest contempt of the shark. But, when the tide rises and sharks are around, his voice has a timid and tremulous sound. That's different from what I remember, said the Griffin. Well, I never heard it before, said the Mock Turtle. But it sounds uncommon nonsense. Alice said nothing. She hid her face in her hands, wondering, will anything ever happen in a natural way again? I want some explanation, said the Mock Turtle. She can't explain it, said the Griffin hastily. Go on with the next verse. But what about his toes? The Mock Turtle asked. How could he turn 'em out with his nose? It's the first position in dancing, Alice said. She really wanted to change the subject. Go on with the next verse, the Griffin repeated impatiently. It begins, I passed by his garden. Alice did not dare to disobey, though she thought, it's no use, it will all come wrong. But she went on in a trembling voice. I passed by his garden, and saw, with one eye, how the owl and the panther were sharing a pie. The panther took pie crust, and gravy, and meat, while the owl had the dish as its share of the treat. As soon as they finished, the owl, as a boon, got the panther's permission to pocket the spoon, while the panther received knife and fork with a growl, and finished the banquet. What is the use of repeating all that nonsense? The Mock Turtle interrupted. You can't explain it, anyway. It's the most confusing thing I ever heard. Yes, I think it's quite enough, said the Griffin. And Alice was really glad to stop. Shall we try another figure of the lobster quadrille? The Griffin went on. Or would you like the Mock Turtle to sing you a song? Oh, a song, please, Alice answered, so eagerly that the Griffin said, in an offended tone, tastes differ, sing her turtle soup, will you, old fellow? The Mock Turtle sighed deeply, and began, in a voice sometimes choked with sobs, to sing this beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dinner would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, soup of the evening. Who cares for fish, game, or any other dish? Chorus again, cried the Griffin. And the Mock Turtle was just repeating it, when they heard a distant cry, the trial's beginning. Come on, cried the Griffin. And, taking Alice by the hand, it hurried off, without waiting for the end of the song. What trial is it? Alice panted as she ran. But the Griffin only answered, come on, and ran faster.
Вам нравится учить английский с нами? Тогда подпишитесь на наш канал, чтобы не пропустить новое видео. И не забудьте поставить лайк. До новых встреч!